Shell is entering the Bitcoin space. What does it mean? Is it really that big? We're going to find out. Let's dive into some stories and take a look at the Shell news versus the ExxonMobil news that came out in March. Okay, so we've got some news that came out about 4 days ago that Shell, the Shell Petroleum Company, one of the biggest petroleum companies in the world, is going to be entering the Bitcoin space. We saw a lot of positive framing around it, which obviously it's not negative, right? A big player like that coming to the space. But is it really that big? What does it mean? We're gonna take a look at a couple of articles and see if we could try to figure out if this is really huge or not. So here we go. First, let's go back and take a look at what Exxon is doing. So here we go. This was published Saturday, March 26th, 2022. Exxon is mining Bitcoin in North Dakota as part of its plan to slash emissions. Exxon has been working with Crusoe Energy Systems. Crusoe technology helps oil companies turn wasted energy or flare gas into a useful resource. Okay, so that's exactly what the whole Bitcoin collaboration with the petroleum producers is. They essentially put this tap on the burnt off or the methane gas that would be burnt off, and instead that methane gas gets converted into energy, which powers the ASIC miners. Okay, so essentially that's what they're trying to do is turn that runoff waste, okay, into something that is not as harmful for the environment. But it turns out that doing that could become profitable. Anyways, I'm just adding my opinion here into the piece. So here we go. Exxon's Bitcoin project isn't really about making money from the cryptocurrency. Rather, the company has pledged to reduce emissions as part of an industry-wide effort to meet higher environmental demands. The company is also considering similar pilots in Alaska, the Kaibo terminal in Nigeria, Argentina's Vaca Muerta shale field, Guyana, and Germany. Mining Bitcoin in the Bakken. The problem Exxon and Conoco are addressing has existed for years. What happens when drillers accidentally hit a natural gas formation? Unlike oil, which can be trucked out onto a remote destination, gas delivery requires a pipeline, which most of us in Bitcoin already know. If a drilling site is close to a pipeline, producers can sell it right away. But if the pipe is full or if the gas is 20 miles away, the drillers often burn it off. And this is why we see flared gas or flares, giant flares in the oil fields, because they have to burn it off. So we enter Bitcoin. Miners' primary variable cost is energy. They're incentivized to find the cheapest source of energy. Let me say that again. They're incentivized to find the cheapest source of energy. So all of these ESG fools that are trying to convince you that somehow the Bitcoin miner next door is making your electricity costs go higher, that's complete bullshit. Anyways. This is just a great way to bring that demand to the wasted energy and solve two problems at once, said Cully Cavness, president of Crusoe, whose backers include Valor Equity Partners, one of Tesla's largest investors. That's right. Solve the energy appetite of Bitcoin and solve the stranded energy flare gas problem for the energy industry. Okay. All right. So that is ExxonMobil's foray into Bitcoin, right? So they are going to be essentially trying to tap the methane runoff and essentially convert that into something that is less harmful for the environment. They say that they're not doing this for profitability reasons, but obviously they're not going to spit on the profits from doing it once that starts to happen. Now, let's take a look at what Shell is doing in the space, or plans to do in the space. So here we go. Oil giant Shell makes a move in the Bitcoin mining industry. Shell aims to offer its lubricant and cooling solutions to BTC miners. The giant will sponsor the 2023 and 2024 Bitcoin conferences as it signed a 2-year partnership with Bitcoin Magazine, the event's organizer. The conferences will be attended by Shell representatives who are set to speak on the mining stage about improving the energy costs of Bitcoin mining with Shell's lubricant and cooling solutions. David Bailey, CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, was quoted as saying that an energy giant like Shell entering the mining space is a big win for Bitcoin. Let's just let's just try to take a look at the we're going to take a look at the immersion cooling fluids market. Okay, and specifically this type of market is the mineral oil fluorocarbon based fluids, single phase cooling, two phase cooling, batteries, EV, solar power, data centers. Okay, so this is exactly the type of cooling systems that we're talking about. No, I don't want a live chat. So the immersion cooling fluids is estimated to grow from USD 1.7 billion in 2022 to USD 2.6 billion by 2027. That's 5 years. From 1.7 billion to 2.6 billion by 2027. So look, I don't want to, dump on this, but it's not a big market. Not that I really care. It doesn't mean the market can't grow, right? Obviously the market can grow, but look, I think the real takeaway is this. This isn't really that huge of news for Bitcoin. Really, it is. Again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be happy. Yes, we should be happy that a player like Shell is looking to make money off of Bitcoin miners by offering a product that is supposed to help reduce the heat and also help to maintain the electronics. So for the people who don't know cooling and immersion systems, essentially, the hotter your hardware runs, the more likely it is to fry, the more likely it is to burn out, the more likely it is to have issues. So the cooler you keep your hardware, the more efficient it can run. And as well, because it's not heating up, your components are less likely to fail. So the idea is that you're going to be keeping this hardware cooler, you're going to be keeping this hardware longer, and of course, Shell is going to get to sell the lubricant to the miners. So it sounds great, right? It sounds great. But is this as big as ExxonMobil entering the space? I'm going to suggest that it's not. I'm going to suggest that ExxonMobil, that news was still from March 22nd. That news was still way bigger than Shell entering the space. I just don't think that it is going to have the impact that some people want it to have. And the reason why I'm mentioning it in this way is because right now we're quote unquote in a bear market, and people see news like this and they start to think like, oh, that's it. We're seeing the huge players. Like, look, we saw tons of quote unquote legacy finance people joining in 2019. It just did not move the needle. Okay. So it's great that these big players are here. These big players, what it means is that they are willing to take a risk in a space that they see solidifying and growing. So to me, the Shell news is not that big, but at least it's a step in the right direction.